see. Where the spiritual is the force, the power, you see. That's the masculine force, you see. We got a receptacle, you know, and then what activates that, you see. So it's the physical, the woman is the supreme, and the spiritual, the man is the supreme. But we have both within us, okay? We have both within us. So there's no need to argue about that. And it's not until we come into balance within ourselves, you know, that we can even combine with that mate who also is in balance with themselves, you know, which will, you know, then we can make that equal or spiritual partnership, you see. Only after that is accomplished. Which leads us to the coupling of the twin souls for the fulfillment. Okay, so first thing I want to read is this called, because we're always going back to opposites and balancing those opposites. Now let me read this to you, because now you've seen these different movies, The Matrix, The Fifth Element, what is it, Dark Crystal. What's the last thing always before fulfillment in these movies? What's the last thing that has to happen? Yeah, but think about it, what's the last, in line with what we're talking about? There you go. The male and the female has to come, the kiss in the Matrix, okay? Even even Dark Crystal, you know, those two, and, you know, so that's the last phase before fulfillment. You see, the balancing of those opposites, the male and the female, to become whole, to become full, okay? It says the number 14 symbolizes the 14 pieces of Osiris, who was slain by his brother Set. His body then cut into 14 pieces and his soul simultaneously separated into 14 pieces. It has been the task of the twin soul of Osiris, Isis, to search for these 14 pieces of her mate throughout many weary eons of time. Now, it says here, legend states that in the Aquarian age, the 14 pieces of Osiris will come together in one man with all his scattered pieces whole, and he will be reunited with his twin soul Isis. Now, when we're talking physical, we're talking individual. When we're talking spiritual, we're talking a collective. So when I say one man, if I'm talking spiritual, I'm not talking about, you know, one man per se. I'm talking about a man as far as a people. That man, the black man, let's just say the black man, okay? Like the O.J. Simpson story. It wasn't O.J. That is the Samson and Delilah story. Samson, you can't miss the connection there. It wasn't about just him. It was about the black man, you know, giving his energy to the woman of the enemy of his people. Okay? Right. And look at people who didn't get that message. Look at Puffy Combs. Look at Montel Williams. Look at, you know, look what's happening to them because they didn't catch the message from the universe. Okay. Okay? They looked at it as one man, O.J. Simpson. He shouldn't have done that. This ain't about him. This is about you. And the great mother, who is the blackness of the universe, who you are directly snubbing your nose at. And you think she's going to empower you and you laying up here with this white woman? No, you're going down, baby. Understand, as above, so below. You know, make a jump. You know, when something happens, you know, see the bigger picture. You know, they've intentionally programmed us just to see from a physical perspective because we're only seeing half of the picture. We're not getting the whole story here. Like another thing I tell people, why do you think just one black woman got killed in the Olympic bombing here? Yeah. One black woman. Come on, you guys. You know that had to be a message. Yeah, one black woman got killed in the Olympic bombing. One black woman. The only person got killed. So that should have signaled your antennas right then. You know, this is not your party. Okay? Get out of Dodge. This ship is going down. If you're hung up in it, you're going down with it. Okay? That was the warning here. We got to see what the universe is saying versus what they're trying to program you to understand about what's happening, okay? That's what we have to do. It says, all sun sign patterns add to the mystical Isis-Osiris number of 14, allowing each sun sign combination to search for unity, each within his or her own vibratory pattern. The only way lovers or mates who are influenced by the 1-1 sun pattern vibration may recognize one another as twin souls and satisfy their karma is for one of them to be sufficiently spiritually evolved to vibrate to the higher octave number of the one, which is 13. When added to the one of the other person, this combination then adds to the mystical Isis-Osiris twin soul number of 14. If both people under the 1-1 sun sign pattern influence vibrates to the higher octave of 1, which is the number 13, then the two of them will be under the vibratory influence of the number 8. 2 times 13 equals 26, which when its two numbers are added together becomes the single number 8. The number 8 represents the double serpent circle mystery of love. 2 circles of zeros, one on top of the other. It says, let me see, therefore, when the two persons involved in the 1-1 sun pattern are spiritually advanced in equal measure, they may experience the thunderbolt path of karma and reach enlightenment swiftly together, though this is a rare mystical achievement. You know why it's a rare mystical? Because it represents the fulfillment, okay? And that is yet to be occurred. So you have many soulmates, but only one twin soul. That twin soul is someone that you have many lifetimes of love, building that love together. Okay, it's your spiritual mate. Okay, you know, and so it is the, you know, so that's the task, to come together with your spiritual mate. You see, most, not all, but most twin soul couplings are physically separated right now. Not all of them, but most of them. And the reason that they're physically separated is because through your yearning, your spirit, you're reaching out. Your spirit is reaching out, and you're making that coupling on a spiritual level, which we have to do now. We have to reverse, and we have to make that connection on a spiritual level and let it manifest in its fullness on a physical level, you know, which is the fulfillment, you see. So you connect on a spiritual level and then come together or fulfill that when you come together on a physical level. But you will not be allowed to make that physical connection until you fully extended the connection on a spiritual level first, okay? That way you're never separated. You know what I'm saying? He could be in Timbuktu and you could be in Africa somewhere, but if your spirits are connected, you're always together, okay? You see? See, so, and to the extent that you build that spiritual connection will be the extent that you will be able to culminate the physical one, okay? So it's no rush in this, you know? It has to come together in its fullness in order to reflect on the physical level the fullness of the combination, see? Okay? So that coupling, you know, as we get back to the movie, that's the last stage before fulfillment. And remember the title of my lecture, The Rising Stars, a fulfillment of the prophecy. You see, this is where we're at right now. You see, we're trying, the universe right now is demanding fulfillment. And if you're involved in anything that is not fulfilling, it's moving it out of the way. Yep. So that it can, absolutely, so that you can, without a doubt, make room for, and it's going to test you on that, because it's going to, all these physical criteria you done build up here, your physical agenda, you know, and the spirit is coming and saying, we want you to do just the opposite now. Okay, where am I going? Am I going to put more credence in what the physical world is telling me, or am I going to put more credence in what the spiritual? You may be in a 25-year marriage, but if you're not fulfilled in that marriage, spirit is saying, go, because you can't fulfill, you know, what we need fulfilled with a partner who is not your match. You see?
When you say
Now, like I said, you have many soulmates. Soulmates are what trains you so that you can keep evolving until you are in a position to combine with your twin soul. Okay? Okay? You know, so that's your spiritual. You have to make that spiritual connection, and then your spirit will guide you on that. Okay? Who that is. It'll identify it for you. Okay? You just have to start tuning in, listening, see, tapping into that information. That's why I say put your altar up, you know, bring that energy together so that your spirits can come through and give you guidance. Start paying attention to the things that you never paid attention to before. We're going the opposite. We're reversing our reality, your hunches, your intuition. You can see a flash of light out the side of your eye. That's what you better be checking out, okay? I don't care if you got a big sandwich over here. You better take and find out what's going on over there. Okay. So we're going to start with Virgo, which is the individual cleansing and purging. That's why Virgos are so meticulous, because they cleanse and they purge. Okay? And when you have cleansed and purged of any impurities, then you are ready to combine with that spiritual partner. You see? And once you combine with that spiritual partner, that's equal partnerships, you know, just, fairness, balance. Once you've done that, then you move, then you combine with others in those spiritual partnerships. That moves you to the Scorpio stage, which is bonding and depth, you see. And you become a power, an intense power, and that's when the transformation occurs. And then you move to the Sagittarius stage, which is an expansion of that spiritual wisdom, which then moves you to the Capricorn, which is the administrator, you know, the leader who will, you know, start structuring this new paradigm. Then Aquarius is when you bring this enlightenment to humanity. Okay? And then Pisces is when you complete that. There's completion, fulfillment. That's the fulfillment, you see, when you include everyone, the ones that are left out. And then only to begin the cycle again in Aries at a higher level. Okay? Right. So that is representing the fulfillment. And the last thing, I'm almost done here because I just got a few minutes. I just want you to understand that right now the Mayans have set their calendar at December 21st, 2012, which would put us right here at the mountaintop at Capricorn, December 21st at the winter solstice. 10 more years to acclimate ourselves to this reversal so that we can step into this new paradigm. You know, this matches up with the cosmos lining up for us to make our crossover into this new world fulfillment, you see. So that's what we're going to look at. You know, us coming to that point. Absolutely, absolutely. The book of the Bible is nothing but a book of the stars. When you start reading it from an astrological perspective, it's going to open up a wealth of information, symbols here. You're going to see everything through those symbols. You're going to get a whole lot more information than what you were looking at before you started seeing those astrological symbols in there. Okay? Study all the signs, you guys, not just one, all of them. I really want to thank you for being here. As I said, I'll be doing this for the first and second Wednesday of the month. I look forward to seeing you come back out. You know, it's been a...
Number one, we are the only source of the supreme energy known to us by the energy of Saturn or Set, the first son of the original great mother of the abyss, which is space, night, or darkness, which are her symbols. Which I read out of this book before, The Celestial Ship of the North by Stratton. A superabundance of darkness, metaphysically, is light. Darkness adopted illumination in order to make itself visible. Point number two. Set or Saturn lost his reign when at the advent of the solar or the Olympia period, the worship of the fatherhood in heaven became established. Then time was reckoned by the sun instead of as formerly by the stars and the moon. This was demonstrated physically or materially as our ancestors lost their reign. Okay. Point number three. Through the study of our ancestral burial tombs, the Olympian god Zeus, or as some say Jesus, of light, was elevated by the people of deception as a means of mass manipulation and oppression by diversion, while they pimp our energy for their own empowerment and advancement. And point number 4, the opening spiritual gateway into a new era of enlightenment and the illumination of the first eye in conformity with the universal laws of righteousness, which is accessible to us through the guidance of our ancestors and mechanism of nature for a new beginning. Okay? Now, what I brought here is this tape. I told you about the tape. Last week, I told you about the movie Dark Crystal. Everything in that movie is symbolic of what we've been talking about these past weeks. So I just wanted to show a few points, you know, so that you can see how they're presenting this, you know, what they know about all of this. And when we start recognizing this, when we see them putting these things out here, we'll understand what it's really about, that this is our story. They may tell it in the form, they may tell it, but they're telling our story. And we haven't recognized that yet. So I want to show little bits and pieces of that to prove that point. Everything about this movie is symbolic of what we're going through. I'm going to set it up now. It begins with Jin's, that's the name of this little, it's called the Gelfling. The Gelfling is the energy that represents us. This is the people up here that represents us. It says Jin, the Gelfling, which represents us, his master or teacher is dying, and he is giving Jin his instructions on how to fulfill his destiny to heal the dark crystal. The dark crystal represents the earth. Okay? It says at the same time the Skates, now this is the buzzard creatures. These are the ones that represent the oppressors. Okay? Their emperor is also dying, and there is a battle to determine who will be the next emperor. And where I'm going to start this at is right after the battle is completed. And everything that we've been talking about, you know, is symbolized in that movie. That's why it came up when, you know, it came to mind when we were talking last week, you see. Because, you see, if they've gotten it in the movie form, you know, that they understand this already. We're the only ones that don't understand this. We don't understand why, you know, but this is just what I wanted to show you. So did anybody else pick up anything, you know, I know you didn't see the whole movie, but was there anything you wanted to comment on that, you know, you saw about it? Okay.
I do. The conjunction, that great conjunction, is that what you were talking about that happened on August? Is that considered, or is it the upcoming?
I would more think it's the upcoming. You know, more like what's lining up in May. The last leg of that fixed cross in May, when we got all 7 of the planets. And not only we have Jupiter and we have Saturn coming together on the 5th of May. And this is this doesn't happen but every 60 years. This is a very significant phenomenon because, like I said, what is it they do? The SikApe ceremony. Yeah, they do the SikApe ceremony based on that conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, you know. So, and in a way, that kind of represents what we saw up here on the movie because Jupiter, remember he said the 2 have been made one. They were when the crystal cracked, you know, they broke apart. And I think in one of the lessons we were talking about how Jupiter seemed to represent the white people. See. And we know Saturn represents the black people, okay? So, and if you'll notice on the movie, when the ancestors came and stood around the crystal, the Skates, they melted into them. They melted back into them, you know? So the two had been, when it was cracked, it's a part of them that came out of them. That was the evil part, you know. And those, they had to bring those two back together. So if we're talking about bringing Jupiter, which we say represents the white people, back with the Saturn, see, that's a way of demonstrating that also, see. But you're also going to have, it's going to be 7 planets that line up in Taurus, you know. You're going to have the moon, the sun, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Who did I skip? I skipped somebody, didn't I? Yes. No, it's got to be inside of Saturn. Let me see. It's Mercury. It should be 7 of them. Moon, Sun. Oh, Venus. We forgot Venus. Venus. 7 of them. Yeah. Okay.
But isn't that something we want to expand on? Since we've already separated from them, we want to keep them separate.
Right, but this goes back, see, this even goes back to even like the Yakub theory. You know, this is what was breathed out of us. All the you know, it's like we're counterparts of each other. All that was good, you know, was separated from all that is bad, okay? And then, as he said, the two have been brought back together in the fullness, in a whole. Remember how I've been telling you guys about how opposites, you know, balancing opposites is creative energy. That's how you create. That's what makes you the creator, by balancing opposites, see. So that makes you whole. When you're only dealing with one half, you're only dealing with half of a situation. You always have to bring that opposite, the opposite together to get the full concept of what's going on here. See, so that is what that indicates. That's what that indicates. So if there's no more questions, you know, on that, then we can start the lesson part, which is this. We're going to be working on the natal chart today. Okay. As I was saying, I think earlier, I really do want you guys to sign up for these workbooks that I'm setting up, because it's going to give you every tool that you need to start understanding these energies and start charting these energies, so that you can get an understanding and become a participant, you know, in healing Mother Earth. Because that is our job, to heal Mother Earth. But we have to understand these energies before we can do that. So in this workbook, you know, I'm going to have everything you need to begin doing that understanding from your own personal perspective, because I am going to put a generated, computer-generated chart, you know, your chart in there. And I'm going to leave the transit area blank so that you can, in pencil, I'm going to have an ephemeris for the rest of the year in the back. So you can go look up and see what these planets are doing. You can position them on the chart and see how they are affecting you. And once you start charting this and you start seeing this and see how these energies are unfolding, then you'll know how to use this energy. You know, I want you to really start setting up your altars. I want you to start doing your rituals. And this is only a step to get us to understand, because once we start understanding how to use those energies, how to direct those energies, you won't even need the rituals anymore. You won't even need the altars anymore, you know, because it'll be a mind thing. You know, you'll start adapting to using your mind to focus in that energy in the way that it needs to be focused in order to heal the earth. You know, right now we're not even nowhere there. We're not focused on that. You know, we're not even focused on that. We don't even know we have that ability. You know, we don't even know we have that power. But this is the reason I want to give you the basics of astrology. I'm not trying to get all complicated. I'm not trying to get all technical. You know, that's what I'm not here for. I'm just trying to give you a perspective on what it all means and what you can do you know, to be an active participant in this. So sign up for this workbook, because what's going to happen is that, like I said, I'm going to have the chart in there, and I'm going to have the ephemeris in there, so you can go back and then say if you see something, and everything else is going to be in there. On each planet, there's going to be a page on each planet describing that planet. What does it do? You know, what is its influence? Each sign, you know, information, you know, with oppositions, you know, describing everything that we covered on our agenda here. Is going to be describing those things, so that if you forget, if you don't understand, you can go back and refer to it and understand what it means. Say if you see, like I said, if you see Jupiter conjunction or just blocked with your sun, and you know that's something that's dealing personally with you, and you're like, well, what does Jupiter mean? You can go to the page of Jupiter, see what it means, and see what it's doing to you. Jupiter is the regenerator, the transformer. If you see Jupiter touching any part of you, then something's being torn down so that it can be rebuilt at a higher level. You know, so that's the regenerator. So if you see Jupiter conjunct with your sun, that means you personally are being, there's a lot about you that's psychologically that's being torn down to be rebuilt. Okay? Yes.
Pluto was the regenerator. I'm confused.
Didn't I say Pluto?
No,
You said Jupiter.
Jupiter, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jupiter. Yeah. Good. Good. You're catching it. I can teach it. Good. I should do that intentionally some more. See these kids learn. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So now we're going to start. Does everybody have an agenda?
I need one more chart, Myrah.
One more chart? Now, okay, we're in week 4. Week 4, natal or birth chart, okay? And you'll see, number 1, I have date, place, and time of birth, okay? Those are the ingredients we need in order to do your chart. At the time of your birth, at the very time of your birth and where you were at, the certain planets were sitting in certain constellations, certain astrological constellations, and these energies, all of these energy rays converged together, came together to make you who you are at that exact time and moment and place of your birth. This is how they converge together. Say, you know, like I said, Pluto was sitting here, Jupiter was sitting here, Saturn there, the sun there, and how those rays, what they were sending out, and that pinpoint where they came together at your time, at the moment and the place of your birth, is your inner, your inside. That's your spiritual being, because that is the energy rays that was stemming from the universe. Okay? And this is what we're working on now, your natal or your birth chart. You think the fingerprints have nothing on your natal chart, you know. Yes.
Okay, that's this. What if you were born, let's say, in Australia, on let's say let's say November 21st, and you moved to America? Did that change anything?
Yes. I mean, one of the things I haven't mentioned is we have what we call a progress chart. Okay, we're just going to do the basics. So, the progress chart is, in other words, it indicates. See, as you're being influenced, you know, as the planets circle your natal chart, influence you, and you grow from that. Okay, and what your progress chart shows is. Like if I was to pick today and look at my progress chart, it would show me where my signs would be sitting now as a result of my growth. Okay, that's what you call your progress chart. This this is how, you know, astrologers look into the future. You know, so what happens is that in figuring that progress chart, you do have to. You have to indicate if you've moved from the place that you were born at, because that does, you know, change the direction. Yeah, it does change. I mean, you can cast a chart to figure out what area of the country is better for my health. Yeah. 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 You can cast a chart to figure out what area is best for my career. Where am I more fortuitous at? It can show you all of that.
So you see that's progressive astrology?
Yes. Yes, that's why it's called a progress chart. Yes. Yes. See? So, yeah, everything counts. Everything counts. Now, and like I said, the first thing that you look at is the sun. Remember? Let's put my big circle back up here. And look at it like this. We are many planets, okay? We're just many planets. We're actually the form of Mother Earth, you know. Whatever it is that the Earth is receiving, whatever it is that the Earth is sending out, you know, we're the ones that, you know, bring that into form, okay? So we're like a mini planet. You know, remember when I showed you us in the womb and how the signs lined up in that circle? That circle, you know, we're like a little planet, okay? And so that's, you know, but that sacred circle. It's always talking about that sacred circle. So when you look at this circle, when you look at this chart, that's what you're looking at. You're really just looking at you as a planet, okay? Now, what happens is, you know, when we went over the houses, we have the planets represents what, you know, what is influencing you. We went through each planet and we told you what type of influence they bring you. They're what is influencing you. The signs is telling you how, the method. You know, when you look at what is influencing, you look at the sign to say, well, how do I deal with it? You know, how is it influencing me? So how do I deal with it? You know, and then the houses, which are these little pies, represents where that's unfolding at in my life. Each one of these houses represents an area of you. Personal actions. First house. Values. And what do I value? Moral and materialistic. What are my values? Understanding, education, communication. The third house. Okay? Fourth house is the mother. You know, it's your heritage, your roots. You know, this is what takes you back to our ancestors. Okay? So if you're doing a ritual and you want to do something with the ancestors, you might want to check out that fourth house energy. You know, Cancer energy. Okay? And the fifth house is your house of creativity. It's where you have your children. It's where you recreate yourself. This is how the ego, it only means, the only way it can be used productively is an identifier as the children of the Creator. This represents children. It represents the creative energy. And we are supposed to be able to, it represents the ego. And we're supposed to be able to identify ourselves as the children of the Creator. Okay? Creative energy. The 6th house is your house of health and service. You know, how do I serve? Okay? 7th house, again, is your house of partnership. And marriage is any one-on-one. Relationship is a partnership. Any one-on-one. Okay? 8th house is your house of bonding. Joint resources. How do we come together in a way that's going to be a force to be reckoned with? That's the house Scorpio rules. You know, it's the house of intensity. Okay? 9th house is the house of expansion. It's your house of spiritual wisdom. The 10th house is your house of the community, the public. And it's interesting. Now, you know we went over this before, but this is the house that Saturn, Capricorn, those energies rule. And it's the 10th house of the public. Now, we're looking at this as the community of the world. And we're looking at Capricorn as the administrator or the leader. And we're looking at that Saturn energy as our energy. What is that telling you? What is that telling you sitting up here in the house of the community of the world? We're the leaders. You know? We're the administrators. We're the ones that should be running the show here. Okay? And it's prophesied that we will be again as we had before. And that's coming up very soon.
Quick question. I have like Aries in the 10th house. What exactly?
Does that indicate?
Yeah.
You're a real warrior. You're, and see, that's both. Those are both cardinal qualities. Aries is a cardinal sign, and the 10th house is a cardinal house. That shows that you're an extremely powerful leader, okay, in the community, okay, who is going to, will not shriek, will not shirk when it comes to getting in there and doing some real battling with that Aries energy. Did anybody see the news about the guy? Remember the last homework assignment when I was telling you to bring me an indication of Mars going into the sign of Aries? Well, did you see the brother in Pittsburgh? Okay? That was pure Aries energy. You know? Because it was coming through a black man. See? That Mars energy was coming through. He went to war. He got aggressive. Gunshots. And then he shot, he told, I don't know if they reported it on all, but he told one sister ran up on him with the gun, and he said, don't worry, sisters, I'm only shooting white folks. That's what he said. I'm only shooting white people. See? So here we going again. So in his mind, I mean, other people might think, oh, how horrible. But in his mind, he was fighting for justice, right? That's that full, the opposites. We're bringing those full principles together. The opposite of Aries is Libra. So if you're going to fight, pull the whole concept together, bring its opposite, fight for justice. Libra. See? And so that was a pure, you can't find probably a more pure indication of that Mars, Aries energy, than when that brother went and shot up those white folks.
You didn't have enough bullets if you had.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, me and my roommate was saying, we was like, go to a hockey match or something. Just as much for 5 as 500. You might.
That's exactly
Oh
right.
boy, if somebody see this tape,
I
I'm
know.
gonna see this tape. That's a hockey game. But seriously, that's what time it is. What time it is? Yes.
And I don't don't know if anybody saw the awards last night when Prince got up there and when he accepted a Soul Train award.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know, Prince is like, he on your Amethyst a lot. You know, he's deep anyway, but people play him. And basically, when he got up there, he told them to remain standing. And he basically told them, because he said, you know, y'all look around. You know, and he kept on saying them. He kept on telling them that, you know. We're like, what did he say? We're gifted people, but we always like give thanks or show gratitude. You know how we get up there and say, you know, pray, you know, thank God and stuff. But the main thing he was saying is that it's like our talents is the majority in this world, but we're a minority in their world.
That's right.
You know, telling them like, look, y'all better wake up. They kept on showing that. They kept on showing that part.
And then he said,
he got really deep.
Yeah, and then he said, look around. Are you the minority?
Yeah. He said that? Prince, I mean, if you were like...
And right after on VH1, they had his concert on. And he was dropping more signs.
More, really?
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm shocked, you know.
Yeah.
I am. I'm surprised. I didn't know, you know, because, you know. So, but anyway, that is... that you cannot find no more pure example, and this is what time it is. And you're going to start seeing those things happening, and especially the more we move closer to Taurus, you know, because that's the physicalness of it, you know. And each time that, like I said, each time that sun activated a leg of that fixed cross, you know, started in Leo, then when it hit Scorpio, then we had the fire, the heat waves. It was heat waves. And we had it went into Scorpio. We had the floods in the waters and stuff. And then we had the Aquarius, the tornadoes, the air, representing the air. And now we're moving into Taurus. That's the last leg of that fixed cross. It's going to be, you know, some upheavals that has to do with the earth, the physical part. The physical part is really going to show itself at that time. And a demonstration as what this guy did when he went off and shot up all these 5 white people. Yes.
What's going on in Mozambique with all the floods there? I understand some more.
Yeah, see, and that's another. Remember when we talked about those tornadoes that hit the black town and the white town? You know, there was a time when it was just hitting the white towns. There was a time when it was just hitting the white towns. And remember when I took you back and told you about the Olympics? When they did that big ritual at the Olympics, and they were really looking at me funny at my job at that time because I you know, being a star, I looked up and I saw a blue moon coming up. A blue moon that Friday, the night of the bomb, it was a blue moon. See, and so I'm like, ooh, they doing all this ritual into Zeus. You know, Zeus would be proud. You know, and they're flaunting it, and there's a blue moon coming up. You know, that's the universal energy. When you start looking at the planets and the stars and stuff, then you're looking at the universal energy. You're not looking at, you know, something they've created here. And I'm like, a blue moon? Sure enough, there was a bomb on the blue moon. See? And it killed one black lady. And everybody's like, well, why? Why? I'm like,
supposed to be there.
You're not supposed to. This is not your party. Y'all, we have to get out of Dodge. This ship is going down. They only hanging on by what they can sap from us. You know? So you all up in here. And you were made an example of. You were shown, it was shown, get out of Dodge. This is not your party. That was a warning. Okay? We had time to heed that warning. But when this tornado hit, and then the same thing, when the tornadoes was going around hitting all the white people. As a matter of fact, I did a ritual that, you know, a week after I did my ritual, and I was asking for restitution because I'm a part of the Black Wall Street, okay? That's my family, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I did a ritual, and a week later, when all them hundreds of tornadoes hit Tulsa, okay? And I did a ritual specifically for that. I didn't direct it how. I just said, I want some type of restitution. Next thing I know, boom. So this is the power we have. We really have this power. We just got to discover it and start utilizing it.
Right. Exactly.
You know. So anyway, the the black town and the white town, that was a signal. That was a signal that time is up. No more. It doesn't matter about the color now. If you haven't got your energy right, you know, it's time for Mother Earth to take her sacred place. And all those that are bullshitting, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You know? So that's what, I mean, you asked me about the floods and everything. That's just, you know, that's just another indicator that you're not doing right. I don't care if you are black. And see, I'm going to tell you something. Black people are going to get hit worse than the white folks. The white folks are not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. They're trying to survive. You know, they know their time is up. They know that they are about extinct. You know? So they're doing what they need to try to stay around. You know, we're the ones that's being stupid. You know, we're the ones that's really screwing up things. So, where was I? Okay, the 10th house. That's how it goes, you know. The 10th house is the house of the community. It's the house of career, your public, all of that. And then you have your 11th house. That's your house of friends, group activities, and your aspirations. Okay? And the 12th house is your house of the subconscious. That's where you get in touch with your subconscious. Okay? And like I said, and where your planets were sitting, now I'm going to use my chart because of course I know my chart, you know, so first thing that you want to look at is your sun. Okay? 17 degrees. So that means that all that means is that during the time of my birth, the sun was sitting 17 degrees in the constellation in the sign of Capricorn. Okay?
Do the degrees go this way or this way?
It's going this way. Okay? The planets, and see, when we start talking about the transits, see, what happens is the transits is going to be circling you or this earth or this mini earth. The transits are going to be circling that, and as they circle, they're triggering those planets. Okay? Now the planets will be going this way, but remember the Earth is also spinning this way. Okay? So it's like, and remember I told you that like your homework assignment, I told you that the houses are stationary. You know, so this is going to represent, there's going to be, what happens is that the signs, as the Earth circles, that's going to move the signs counter to the way the planets are going, okay? But the houses is the only thing that just stays the same, okay? This will always be your personal action, this will always be your values, you know, your partnership, you know, that's always going to be like that, okay? Then the next thing you look at is your moon, you know, and mine was sitting here, 9 degrees, but it was sitting in Gemini, okay? This is Capricorn. Okay. And see, you start putting that together, okay? The next thing you want to look at is my rising sign. That's this line right here, remember? The rising sign. And what was rising, the energy that was rising over this horizon line at the time of my birth was Aries. So, and the number, it was 13 degrees on that line. That's what gives me a natural chart. Because once you find out what your rising sign is, then that's what goes in the first house. See, that's the energy that goes in the first house. And then you bring it on around. See, since mine was Aries, then the next sign, Taurus, would fall in my second house. Gemini, you know, but like I told you, there'll be some overlap. There'll be some overlap.
Okay,
Yes.
so if it was Capricorn, you would put Capricorn in Aries in the first house. If your rising was, if it started in Capricorn, you would put Capricorn in number 1. That's what you're saying?
No. It depends on my rising sign. The time that I was born.
Okay.
At the time that I was born, what energy was rising over that horizon line?
You said Aries?
Aries.
Okay.
Okay? But my Capricorn sun, it was sitting in my 10th house.
Okay.
You understand? Really? You don't
No,
look
I
like-
wasn't looking at that. I was saying what you're trying to say. Until like if your rising sign was Gemini, then you would start at Gemini with
Absolutely.
as an Aries.
That's right. That's right. Gemini would go there, and then the sign that follows Gemini would go in the second house, and you would follow it on around like that. Okay, and that's why I say I have a natural chart, because Aries was what was rising, and it falls in the first house, so that means all of the natural energies will fall in their natural houses.
You got it in the 12th house, though, right?
What's that?
Aries shouldn't be in the first house. And not
What happened is that it was the Aries energy started here. By the time I was born, it was like 13 degrees. What's on this line, this horizon line, is what, when it crossed over this horizon line into my first house, the energy of Aries had already, like I told you, there's going to be some overlap, okay? So it was at 13 degrees when it crossed that horizon line, see? So it did start in my 12th house, but for me, it's only important to me as to where it was when it hit that line right there, okay? And that's why my moon is Gemini, but it's in the second house, see? Because Gemini normally rules this house here, but most of my Gemini energy is here, but it started over here. It did not cross over. The moon had not crossed over that line, but it was in the sign of Gemini before it crossed over the line. Okay.
question.
Uh-huh.
The higher the degree, does that mean the higher the energy or less the energy?
Well, all it is counting down, because remember I told you each planet, each sign goes 30 degrees before it passes into another sign. See, so all that's saying is that, like, here is 13, and somewhere along here it got up to 29, 30, and then it changed over. That's when it changed over into Aries. See, that's all that really indicates. Okay, and that'll come into play. The degrees will come into place when we start dealing with our transit planets. You see, then we'll see. That'll help us to understand which planets are interacting with what. See, because you have to be within 10 degrees. Within 10 degrees of each other, they're starting the communication process. See, but like within 3 degrees, they're really, that's what you call a conjunction. It's like we're walking hand in hand. We're doing the same thing. The energy is influencing you in the same way that you have inherently in you. See, so within 10 degrees they start communicating, and then when they get the same degrees, it's like the peak. You have to look at the moon, the timing of the moon. You have the waxing, the full, and then the waning. That's just how those energies interact.
Yeah, can two houses have the same sign?
Mm-hmm. Like I told you, there'll be some overlap. That's what I meant by overlap. Uh-huh. But the house that's sitting on the cups, remember we talked about this in lesson 2-3? The one that's the sign that's sitting on the house cups is the one that rules that house or flavors that house. So it's the stronger energy. It's the prevailing energy. But when you have some residual energy in there, that energy is, you just have access to that energy. It's something you can pull in. And what you're trying to do, you can pull that in. But the stronger energy is the one that's sitting on the line that rules the house, that flavors the houses.
I have a quick question. Our homework assignment last week, or for this week, was to color in for the elements.
Right.
Now, are we supposed to go by the natural chart or by our chart?
Remember, because this doesn't change.
Okay, good.
This is stationary.
Right, the houses.
The houses are stationary.
Okay.
And what I wanted you to do was to color in the energies of the houses,
Yeah.
you know, as they represent. Okay. Okay.
Like the first one should be red, right?
Right.
Aries, yeah. I
Just making sure.
I got
Last
it.
week.
I had to make sure too.
I did my homework.
Yeah, and did you see how it kept repeating?
Yeah.
Yes,
Four.
It did.
Okay. And so that just means the first house, fire, which indicates passion, which indicates that this is a house for passion. This is your personal actions. This is when you take action. So that's passion. That's fire. That's why fire is in that house. Because that's, you know, that is your passion. And like we said, this is conception. This is conception.
And then that is.
And then the second house is your physical, that's earth, that's Taurus, that's your physical body coming into form. The third house is Gemini, that's your mental capacity coming into form, and then you're born through your fourth house.
Right. Okay.
You're born through your fourth house, see. So this here represents the passion. And remember we said Mars represents that sexual energy? You know, the fire, the heat, the passion for conception. Okay? And then, another thing, Mars is your most physical planet. Do you know what I mean by that? No. Okay. You know, all of this we're talking about energies, energy rays, right? This is like our spiritual self. You know, this is what's going on inside. You know, that's what the astrological chart do, is exposes what's going on inside. As far as the planet's influence goes, Mars represents the most physical of the planets. In other words, it dictates our physical body more than any of the other planets. Okay, but this is all still energy. But that, like, whatever sign your Mars is sitting in, is the sign that will indicate what you physically look like. You understand? More so than your sun. See? Say if you've got a Aries Mars, then you probably got a masculine built, you know, or you're athletic, you know, you're very athletic. You know, wherever your Mars is sitting, that indicates your physical body. Okay?
How does the actual planet Mars play into that?
That's what I'm saying, Mars. That's what, you know. Oh, you mean which one, the transit or no, the planet Mars? Yeah, that indicates your most physical body.
Would that be, I understand what you're saying. Would that be an indication of why the Caucasian is always trying to find out what's going on Mars?
One of the reasons that is true is because, like I said, Mother Earth is trying to become a sacred planet. You know, there's other sacred planets like Venus and Saturn. They can't get there. They can't get to the sacred planets. They can't.
So they can get to Mars.
They can get to Mars.
They go
Mars is not a sacred planet. You know, so they can go there. They can't go where it's sacred at. See? So Mars is the closest they can be. Okay. Now, okay, then after, like I said, the rising Aries, we got the Capricorn Sun that fell in my 10th house. Okay? And we've got the Gemini Moon, which fell in my 2nd house. Okay. With my Sun in the 10th house, it just means what I tell you, that where your Sun is at is what you came in this life to focus on. Okay? You know, so I came in to focus on the public. You know, which is news to me because, you know, I was always very shy, you know, growing up and stuff. I never would have thought that the public would be, you know, but that just goes to show you know, but the public, that means that, and an administrator. Capricorn represents the administrator. So that means that I will be an administrator in the public domain. You understand? Because the house tells you where. And we're talking about the public, the career, the community. And we're talking about Capricorn, which is the administrator. So I will be administrating in public. You get that? See how you put those together?
So how did your son end up there? Sorry.
It's just where the sun was sitting.
When
I was born, it was sitting 17 degrees in the sign of Capricorn, or the constellation Capricorn. Okay? At the time of my birth. And then the same with the moon and the sign rising. Okay. And then after that would be Mercury. And my Mercury, what sign?
Sagittarius.
All right. Somebody's learning here. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. Me and details, we don't mix. We do not mix. You know what I'm saying? I can be in a car and ride around in that car all day and get out and can't tell you what color it is. But ask me the meaning of life. What did you talk about? You know, what's the universe saying? Oh, I'm all there. You know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons for that is because my Mercury sits in its opposite. See, remember the opposite? Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, third house. Opposite that is the ninth house. So your Mercury represents your conscious mind. Okay? So what's happening here, that represents the details. You know, the education, communication, bringing together all this information. Okay? And see, what happens is that you take that and you bring it into its opposite, Sagittarius, which is philosophical thinking. You know, it means it takes those information, those details, and take it into a spiritual wisdom. See? Gives you the bigger picture. So that's why I lose the small details, because it's like spread it out. This is the house of expansion. You know, so I can look at the bigger picture, but it's hard for me to focus on those small details because it's like Mercury's in its fall. You know, it's in its opposite. It's in its opposite, so, you know, I can grab those details, but they automatically go into a bigger scheme. See?
I have a quick question.
Okay.
What causes Mercury to go into retrograde?
Well, yeah, not just Mercury.
Oh,
Mercury is just more frequent with Mercury than any other planet. But they are. Mars is one, which just this past last year, around March, Mars went into retrograde. And that happens. That's an unusual thing. That happens like every 2.5 years, and that means we had a lot of friction